Hello everybody and welcome back to the second development log for Swords and Bullets, which I've learned there's already a game on Steam with that title, so I will be looking for a new title, which sucks because I really like that name, but it's totally fine. Since last time, the two major things that I've done is I've started implementing a HUD as well as like a main menu, an options menu. So we'll go ahead and check that out. I just have a little setup here. If you hit play, you'll see that we have a little options menu. For some reason, the roof is completely black. I will have to look into that. It's the first time I've noticed that, but regardless, we have a little options menu here, or main menu now, that does have an options menu. And you can see we've got different settings that the user will be able to adjust. They all work. We can go into the controls, and you can see these are currently the controls. You can reset them to the default, or you can set them to whatever you like, including the mouse sensitivity. And then you can hit play, which brings us into the level, which one of the things you should notice immediately is I've put a lot of effort into optimization. Sorry, I just like running through my level, killing the guys. I've been really enjoying that. But yeah, we've had a huge increase in optimization, and I'll go through and I'll kind of show you what I did for that. That's the main menu again. Back to the prison, please. So the first thing I did is I have a calling volume now. So if I press G and go to the game mode, you'll see that objects are just unrendering whenever we get farther away. They're currently set to the max render distance, so if you have max settings, you'll see that it loads most of the level if you're in it at any given moment. But if we were to hit play, for example, my bad. If you were to hit play, for example, and we hit P, we can then go to the options and we can drop all these down. Which you can see a drastic reduced quality, and I'm still working a little bit with the calling, because you can see on the lowest setting it's not loading this hallway fully, and I feel like even on the lowest settings we might want that to still pop up. I'm a little undecided, but yeah, very low calling. However, with the very low calling, if you look at the frame rate. I don't know how accurate it is, by the way. I kind of want to reset up my FPS system and just kind of see if that's accurate or not, because it's very jumpy, as you can see. Sometimes it's low, sometimes it's high. I'm really not sure. But then we can crank these back up, and you'll note, one, we're still getting a decent FPS. Again, very jumpy, but obviously everything is being shown. There's never a moment where you're like, oh, why isn't that wall there? Which you shouldn't be wondering that whenever you are playing on the highest setting. So each map is going to have a different calling volume. So just because this map, it's kind of short, this map lets you get away with it, as each area is contained in a pretty small space. So I don't got to worry too much about the distance of the calling. Turn that off. Something else I did was something I didn't think about, but whenever I realized it, I felt kind of dumb. One is all of my roofs and my floors are no longer casting shadows. They all were set to cast shadows, and turning that off was a huge plus. Obviously, I don't want my walls to not be casting shadows. As you can see, some of the light still illuminates through the wall, even though I don't want it to, which is a little frustrating. It has to do with the fog, so I'll have to figure that out at some point, but it's not that big of a deal. The next thing I did was I actually turned off lumen and global illumination. So there is officially no lumen or global illumination in my level anymore. What I did was I went into the project settings. First off, if you just type in global illumination, some people need it, some people want it. You can absolutely keep this on if you want it. I didn't want it. Set that to none. And then if you just type in the word lumen, it's not going to show up for me anymore because I've turned it off. But every single option that is lumen related does pop up, and you can change all that to like screen space beta. Make sure it's all set to like shadow maps, I think I'm using virtual shadow maps at the moment, and that will get your lumen turned off if that is something that you want to do. I think in most games you should just leave it on and try to learn how to optimize it, but this being a retro FPS, it didn't really make sense to go through with the whole lumen thing because it wouldn't even be utilized. Other than optimization and menus, if we head over here, if you remember, there is a secret here, and it's this door. If I go here and I hit this button and this button, you'll remember that the door opens. Well, I actually have implemented the shotgun now. This is the single shotgun, whereas, you know, most of these games have a single and a double. This is the single, and I don't know if, yes, there you can see the ray tracing from when I was debugging it. It's got a nice little spread every time I click. For those that don't know, these lines are representing the pellets, the way that they're moving. And then when you see the red squares, that is where they have hit something. So in this case, the wall. And you can see my spread here. Fun fact, whenever I was doing the math for that shotgun, let's go take a look at the code for it really quick. So basically, how this works is I say we're gonna shoot, so we need to do a line trace. We need to check the number of bullets. If it's greater than 1, as in more than 1 bullet or more than 1 line trace is going to be necessary. I basically say it's going to be a scatter because I can't think of a situation where I'm going to have multiple bullets where it's not going to be a scatter shot. So essentially, is there more bullets coming out than 1? If yes, go ahead and we're going to do a scatter shot. We have a for loop. Obviously, if it's 1, it's only going to run this once. If it's like 7, it's going to run through this like 7 times. So essentially, the first thing this does after it decides that it's a scatter shot is it gets 3 random integers. I was originally trying to get them to pull all at the same time and not set up variables. And what I mean by that is this random float and range was plugged directly into where we were adding the modifier to the location. And it would always draw a straight line. It would either be a diagonal line, a horizontal line, vertical line, diagonal line. It didn't matter. It was always a straight line. And I was very confused because I was like, it should be pulling random numbers. Why am I getting essentially y equals mx plus b? And then it hit me. I'm like, y equals mx plus b. It's because it's consistent. Oh my God. So to get around it, we've got 3 random variables that pull 3 separate times to get 3 random floats within range. And then you can see the scatter power. The higher I tune that, the broader the cone of fire is going to be, because it adds obviously a little bit to the end point there. And then for every single shot, it goes through the line trace by channel, checks if it hits anything, sees if it's an enemy, and then it sends a interface for the enemy to take damage based on whatever the damage stat is of the incoming weapon. And that's how I set up that shotgun. And then I imagine if we go on to do like the double barrel or super shotgun, I'm going to just maybe crank up the base damage of each pellet by like 0.5, and then maybe just add like 10 more pellets or something, right? Just make it so it hits harder, probably make the cone slightly wider, but not too much wider. But even though that would be a nerf normally, the fact there's gonna be 10 more pellets, it shouldn't really be a nerf. It should be pretty good. The couple last things I want to add before I go into alpha and send out some testing is I want to, 1, populate the map with enemies and try to balance the map as best as I can before testing. I want to obviously add sound effects to the shotgun, because if you didn't notice there, the shotgun, no sound effects right now. So yeah, we need to add sound effects to that. We need to balance out the enemies. Maybe add some more pickups, more things to discover in the level. And I have a document that actually shows everything I need to add. But that's pretty much it before we move into alpha. I will say that I'm technically not in alpha, because alpha means that most features are complete and just need, like, you know, testing and stuff like that. I won't have save and load yet, which obviously in an old school FPS, you want save and load, quick save, quick load, at least 3 slots. I know a lot of old school FPS have like 99 slots, and if I figure out how to do that, I'll do that. But off the top of my head, I don't really know how to do that, so I'm probably only going to do like 3 slots, but don't hate me. I'll see what I can do. But yeah, I know this devlog was probably a little bit shorter. I've just been cranking as hard as I can. I've been very busy. I think I went almost an entire week without working on the game because I was just doing other things. I hope you guys are still enjoying these devlogs. I hope you guys still want to see more of these devlogs. But that's it for me, and I'll see you in the next one.